Part one of this video was an introduction to this topic. Most narcissists are happily married, believe it or not. In fact, more narcissists are in long-term relationships than real human beings. All right. Literally, the reality of this upside-down world that we are living in is that narcissists have longer-term relations. Narcissists in this upside-down world, all right, they have managed to build some kind of a reputation and a life for themselves that make them come across as credible and reputable more so than real human beings. In fact, in this upside down world, one of the things that you will notice if you observe with a discerning eye is that most of the things that seem to be thriving and succeeding at a superficial level, of course, when you look at them with a naked eye, most of those things that come across as if they are standard, they are upstanding, and all of those things are pretty much narcissistic things, or things that are associated with narcissism. All right, and things that are real and genuine, and things that have to do with real and genuine human beings, empath, and all of those things, many a times they don't they're not met with the same level of success and shine and all those amazing things, you understand. And so, yeah, as I said, it's because of this upside down world thing. The game has been rigged against things that are true, good, genuine, beneficial, authentic, especially for real human being. The game has been rigged such that the environment is more conducive for toxicity and toxic people than it is for healthier people. All right. So for you as a real human being to thrive in this world, your path, your goals, your expectations, your journey has to be completely different from how this world actually teaches you that it needs to be. You understand? You need to take the narrow path. All right. You need to avoid highways. You understand? You need to, take the lonely path and avoid the crowded paths. Just yesterday, I was watching a video from Leaving Babylon. All right. It's the video right after the video that she did about the land of Jesus. I mean, that's a mind-blowing video right there. I really encourage anyone who's a truth seeker to check that one out. Okay, let's forget that whole thing about religion and everything. Let's just really do what we do best as truth seekers, which is to just look for truth. All right, so this video that Living Babylon was showing us here was it had an image that she was making reference to, and this image was showing I think it's a very old image, maybe from the 1600s or the 1800s or somewhere there, but it's a very old picture. And it had a depiction of the two parts of life, isn't it, that the Bible talks about. It's like there's just a way in which they painted pictures that I don't know, it's like the message is really amplified, with how they just do their little depictions. And then so the path that leads to destruction, literally to hell, is wide. All right, it's a big path, and you've got many companions there. Everyone is laughing and dancing there. People are nicely polished. They're well dressed. They look good. Everyone is proud to be on that path. Even everyone is excited. Whereas on that other path, the one that leads to eternal life, people were looking a little bit like, oh, did I even make the right path? Because out here in this world, people will tell you, if you are a child of God, then why is your life falling apart? If you are a child of God, if you are blessed, if you are so gifted spiritually, then why can't you have this and this and that in your life? You understand? This is what people will tell you out here in this upside down world, because they don't know what they don't know. You understand? So people were hunched, on that path. Some of them, it's like, because it's not a comfortable path to walk on. Who enjoys walking, and then from time to time they keep tripping over things, tripping over stones. Have you ever tripped over a stone? That's not nice. So that's the path that leads to eternal life, though. And the other path, everyone is proud to be on that path, and it's full of people. You understand? Like you can never be lonely, But of course, if we're talking about the true sense of lonely, then yeah, definitely you will be lonely there. But if loneliness for you is quiet, is like silence, then I definitely will never be lonely there, because there's probably people playing music, people dancing, people having so much fun. It's like it's a groovy path, it's a groovy road. It's like the highway. It's wide, and there are many people in it. But the end of that road is a hellish paradigm. There's some demon there, those ugly little demons from the medieval type of pictures, and then the demon is looking at the screen, like it's looking at you, the person that's looking at the image, and they've got this look that says, oh, like I got them, I got you, I tricked you, I told you to come down this path, and oops, look what happened. You understand it? That's how the demon looks. It's like the end of that road, that's where the demon is standing, and it's like a cliff, and there's a whole lot of fire, and basically people are falling into that fire where the demon is. So found it very interesting. But this is how this world is. All right, this is the upside down nature of our world. There are a lot of things that appear a certain way in this world, and in most instances where all these great things seem to be happening and amazing. And I'm not saying where things are obscure that means everything is perfect. No, not at all. That's not what I'm implying. You understand? But what I'm saying is, don't be deceived by going for things that look shiny and glamorous and glittery, and it's like everyone is vouching for it. Don't automatically assume that that's the right thing or that is, amazing and all of that. So one of the biggest things that we've been sold in this world is this idea of a fairy tale, of a happily ever after. You understand? The ideal partner that you are supposed to be with. There are many, many relationship coaches, here in the relationship space, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this series. Because even us as spiritual practitioners, we do this as well from time to time. Because, we understand everyone has a soulmate, and there is such a thing as soulmate, twin flames, and all of that. But the reality of the matter when it comes to the landscape that we are working with at the moment is that many a times that soulmate, that twin flame, and so forth in this lifetime is most likely going to be broken, most likely going to be narcissistic, most likely going to be something that you are not going to be able to build a relationship with. You understand? So these relationship coaches, this relationship gurus and dating coaches and everything, they seem to be selling this idea that you just need to bend yourself in a particular way. You just need to learn a few formulas and a whole lot of things, and then automatically going to be able to manifest the relationship of your dreams, and to basically be able to push away all the people that are not supposed to be in your life, or something along those lines. And I get where they are coming from, and they really do share very insightful tools, and I'm sure they help a lot of people. You understand? But how they approach the situation, they almost always approach the situation from a perspective where it comes across as if they are being very practical and realistic about the situation. But there's one thing that they are missing. Which is being honest with their viewers and everyone else out here in the world about the gaslight of this world, because it's almost as if they are feeding to the gaslight of the system, all right? More so than, really just helping humanity tap into reality. It's like they're feeding into the gaslight, because somehow you do get that impression almost as if you pardon me, if you hire this relationship coach, then that means you are going to be able to, just sipping on some water there. If you hire the services of this relationship coach or this dating coach, you are somehow going to be able to manifest the men of your life, the men of your dreams, because majority of the customers in this particular groups or this particular field are women. So think about it. One of the reasons why these people have such a huge number of clients, and you can look at their videos, they've got a huge number of people watching their videos. Thousands of people consume their content, which means thousands of people are struggling in relationships, okay? And so one thing that these people are not being 100% open about or transparent about is the reality of the statistics that we are dealing with, all right? So very few people in our world and in our reality are capable of creating healthy relationships that are sustainable, because majority of people are narcissists in our world. And maybe they might not agree with that statistic, but I'm going to, continue to talk to you so that you can see what I'm talking about. And majority, at least a minimum 70% of the people in our population are very narcissistic and incapable of creating relationships. So that means the pool that you are working with as a real human being who's trying to create a genuine relationship is very small, because even with that 80% of people that we, which we might assume might be real human beings, they might have empathy. They themselves might be too broken to be able to create a healthy relationship that is sustainable. You understand? So which means, regardless of how many times and how many seminars that you attend and how many times you twist yourself into some kind of a pretzel, you are most likely not going to meet, the man of your dreams or the woman of your dreams in this lifetime. You understand? You are most likely better off focusing your energy and resources on a whole lot of other things other than that. Number one, focusing on learning how to be content with yourself and finding peace, joy, happiness within yourself, and connection to life through a whole lot of other things other than through a romantic partner. You are most likely better off giving up on that, a fairy tale of a picket fence and a 2.5 kid situation. You understand? It's like if you want a family, you are probably going to do it in some other unconventional way. That's the reality. You want to be able to get to that point where you accept that if you're going to, have certain things, like for example, that romantic, happily ever after type of relationship, it's going to be sort of like by chance. It's going to be miraculous. You understand? It's going to be, and miraculous not because it's amazing, but rather it's like it's not something that you really expected to happen. It's like it just so happened, but it's not something that I was really chasing after, looking for, and doing everything in my life to. You understand? Because honestly, I really feel like we are doing a disservice to humanity, particularly real human beings, by selling them this idea that, like, keep searching, keep doing this, keep doing that. There's nothing wrong with, yes, you can put yourself out there and see what's available and everything. But then there might need to come a time when, maybe if you've done that after a certain time, where maybe you might decide, okay, maybe let me sit down and focus on other things. You understand? Like, there needs to be a certain level of reality that we bring ourselves into. And why am I saying this? I'm saying this because, as I previously mentioned in the other video, in the part 1 of this video, a lot of mental health professionals will tell you that majority of human beings in our day and age are not okay psychologically. Let's just be honest with ourselves about this. This environment, the social environment that we are in right now, is not conducive for healthy relationships. So it's a tall order for us to expect beautiful relationships, genuine relationships, wonderful relationships in this day and age. Particularly, we're talking about romantically. You understand? It's a tall order for us. Right now, I really do believe that this season of humanity's life is really not for trying to create romantic relationships per se. I really believe that this season is a season for humanity to remember who it is and to raise the vibrational frequency. You understand? And not necessarily being woo-woo per se, but basically giving the finger to this dangling carrots that the system has been using to control us. You understand? Because many times, if you assess the situation long enough, you'll be able to see that, to the most part, it's not really that somehow you think it's somehow maybe you value these things. It's like you want them and they're going to add great value to you. Because let's face it, a lot of people that are in those situations will tell you that it's actually more work than anything else. So many a time, you're not really chasing those things because of the value that they bring to your life, more so than you are really chasing them because somehow you are convinced that they're going to add to your identity. They're going to validate you as a person. You're going to be more accepted in society. People are not going to be nagging you anymore. They're not going to be asking you questions anymore. You're not going to feel insecure anymore. Here in Africa, particularly South Africa, in Setswana, we have this word called bofetwa. So many times you want those things because you are trying to avoid bofetwa. So bofetwa means not being chosen. You understand? And the opposite of bofetwa, which is not being chosen, or the unchosen one, the opposite of, the spinster, basically. But then it's like a derogatory form of a spinster. And I think even the spinster, it's not necessarily a nice name, I think. A nice word. So the opposite of that, of course, it's a pygmy or a pygmisha or whatever it is that you guys call it there in America. So in order not to be, the lonely cat woman, you turn into a pygmisha, isn't it? Where you are willing to do anything and everything to find, have, and keep a man, isn't it? And so we want to allow ourselves to be honest with ourselves about the possibility that that's the paradigm which we might be hailing from. We might be hailing from that paradigm where we think that somehow we might be more wholesome beings by having certain titles attached to us. You are Mrs. So-and-so, you've got a ring on your finger, or you are in a particular relation. And let's face it, society does that. Society disrespects women who are not attached to people. All right. Society disrespects women who are not in marriages because most of the people in society are narcissists. And the narcissistic system of this world has taught people to shame women who are not in relationships. So you've got the system itself and the way that it has programmed people, but then you've got narcissists themselves who are male-centered, particularly women, but both men and women, they are male-centered in this upside-down world. And then so they make you feel shame for not being in some kind of a relationship, isn't it? Particularly a romantic one. Okay. And then when you finally maybe get married or something like that, then they've got this thing whereby they might, elevate that position a little bit. You might feel some kind of significance. You understand? They might start treating you, but then it's like they're not treating you as a person with significance. They are treating that role, that position with do you get what I'm saying? And so we want to be able to get to a point where we are able to see the situation for what it is, to say, okay, so now am I going to twist myself into a pretzel just so that I can gain significance in society among narcissists, so that I can be respected by narcissist demons from hell? You understand? So let's be realistic. We've got this Lee Hammock, who is mental health or mental illness or something like that. This is, a self-professed narcissist who warns people about narcissism. And we've got Sam Wagner, also self-professed narcissist, who warns people about narcissism. And then there's another guy who's also, I think, a self-professed narcissist, but I forget his name. He's a Caucasian guy. And I don't know what's these people's intentions, what's going on with them. Pardon me, drinking water. But I don't want to lie to you. I love their job. I appreciate their work. because they produce this content where they are helping you to understand. And I believe all three of them will agree with me when I tell you that majority of people in our society are narcissistic. You understand? Majority of people in our society are narcissistic. So what chance do you stand as a real human being in that environment where relationships are concerned? You have little to no chance of manifesting that healthy relationship. And so when you fail to manifest that healthy relationship, don't begin to blame yourself and think that there's something that you are doing wrong and that's why you are not able to do. Have you seen what's out here in this world? Have you seen what's going on out here in the world? So are you trying to say that every single person that is going through the BS that people are going through out here in this world is that dumb to be able to find themselves in those kind of positions? No. No, all these people are not dumb people. Many of them are actually very intelligent, but it's because of the landscape that we are dealing with. It's because of the pool that we are working with here. This is the fish that is available in this pond that we are swimming in. How is it possible that every other story that you come across is some men doing some horrible things to a woman in a relationship context? Majority of the time it's men. Yes, of course, you've got narcissistic women. We know. Even they are adding to the statistics of how bad the situation is in the relationship environment. You understand? So the point that I'm trying to bring across here is don't start to try and unalive yourself just because relationships are failing. Understand, I deal with people every single day. I've got my own personal experiences as well. The situation is bad out here. It has nothing to do with you. If you are not able to manifest a healthy relationship or a relationship, understand that you are not the only determining factor when it comes to a healthy relationship. There has to be a lot of other healthy people that are willing to create healthy situations with you. And the reality is that there are few to none of those people in this world. There are very few people who are willing to do a win-win situation with you out here in this world. You understand? So we want to be clear about this thing. We want to be honest with ourselves about this thing so that we don't sell ourselves illusions, so that we don't buy into a lot of things that the relationship coaches are selling us. Because you will go to those seminars, you will buy those packages, you will do those things, but you will wait. The more high value you are as a woman, the more likelihood of you remaining single for a very long time, if not forever. Don't be deceived and think that because your value has increased, that means you're going to get a partner very quickly. No, you're going to be very magnetic. Yeah, you can be magnetic, but the thing is, there needs to be available candidates to be able, who are at your level, to be able to come at you, in that regard. So in this world that we are living in, it's highly likely that before you meet one possible good potential prospective for a relationship, you're probably going to meet at least 20 to 50 narcissists. You understand? That you're going to talk to, some of them would probably be serial killers even. That's the reality of this world that we are living in. Look around you. Don't deceive yourself. It's not just about you becoming the right person and then all of a sudden the situation. No, we are co-creating with the situation around us. If it was all up to us, we would just snap a finger and we would be in a different paradigm. We would be eating much healthier food. All right? We would be living much more beautiful lives. You understand? But because the nature of the situation that we are currently dealing with now dictates differently, we are finding ourselves in a situation where we are working with what is available to us. That's what we are doing. We are not being cynical, but we are not being delusional either. So this is where I say, both spiritual people who sell this type of ideas and, dating coaches, relationship gurus and things like that, this is something that they are not being very honest about. The fact that there are few to know good people to create relationships with in this world. Okay. It's a very sobering conversation to have. And a lot of people might not, enjoy it. But like I say, look around. Look at all this content that is going out here. Many women are busy doing the work, cleansing, preparing, doing the work, making sure that they are getting themselves ready and prepped up to meet a healthy man. But most end up in narcissistic relationships. And it's like, oh, what's wrong with you? You can't, keep a man and all of that. No. Where are the good men? Where are they? Do they exist? I'll tell you, less than 10% of, and even men themselves, they will be the best to tell you that if they are honest enough. And many of them are honest enough when it comes to this particular topic, especially, if you are approaching the situation in a way whereby they might not be able to hide this kind of information from you, they'll tell you. You are rarely going to come across the kind of man that is considered to be an ideal man to have a relationship with in this world. Those are very, 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 very few and far in between. You know, less than 10% of the male population is healthy enough to create a relationship with. Less than 10%. I would even dare say less than 5%. And here we are as women, busy just doing all the work. Doing all the work. You understand? Refining ourselves like nobody's business so that we can be chosen. And then you go out into the market. What is available? Narcissists. Because even that 5% of men that could relatively be good and all, majority of the time, they are all taken. So if you have this kind of conversations with men out here, they will tell you, they'll be honest with you, they'll tell you. Number one, they will tell you that you will rarely find a man that is not going to cheat on you in this world. So if you want a relationship where you are being cheated on, then it's fine, go ahead. You understand? But that's the reality of the situation. You're going to be cheated on. And then if you want a relationship where you are not going to be abused, especially emotionally, then stay away from the men of this world. Because if you are going to deal with the men from this world, you are going to be abused emotionally. Because majority of the men in our day and age, in this particular world, are broken. Because this world, people don't understand that men are actually more sensitive than women. That's why more men are narcissistic than women. You need to understand that narcissism is actually hypersensitivity. The nature of that being or soul or whatever is so sensitive that it's like, oh my lordy gori, this ish is so horrible. I'm splitting, I'm checking out, I'm gone. And then the demons are like, okay, fine. So here's the house, it's nice and clean and there's no one occupying it. We are taking over. This is what we are dealing with. This is how majority of the men in our society are narcissists. Is that level of sense. So the system has broken men in our society to an extent whereby they are not capable of creating healthy relationships. And that's why in African communities, they don't even play around it. They don't even try and, and for a long time, that's how they've been rolling. They've never, tried to sugarcoat the situation. They will tell you as a woman that you have to endure abuse. You understand? You have to be able to have the thick skin to be able to endure abuse if you want a relationship, if you want a long-term relationship. And they equate success where a relationship is concerned with long-term survival. You understand? So it's not about whether, and they will tell you, it doesn't matter what he does. Because they know that he's going to abuse you like no one's business. But you have to be strong enough to be able to sustain, tolerate, withstand all of that. This is how it has always been traditionally in African communities. That's why in African communities, they see you as a failure if you don't have the wherewithal to, withstand abuse in a relationship, because they don't expect you to expect anything else other than that in a relationship. So when you start coming here crying, saying, oh my word, he beat me last night, it's like, what? What are you talking about? Don't you understand that your father beat me for 50 years for as long as I was with him? Have you ever seen me crying to anyone? So what are you, go back to where you come from. You understand? So this is how it is. This is the nature of the world this is the reality that we have not allowed ourselves to be honest with ourselves about. The system has broken men. So men in our world, in our society, are not healthy. And the system has okayed it for them to be that way. Because it's a narcissistic system and it needs them to be that way. Most men are only safe from a distance at an arm's length. They're not safe for intimate relationships. And it's interesting because the system has been created by men. This toxic system has been created by narcissistic men. And the biggest casualty is the men themselves, who turned out to be narcissists. And of course, because of that being the case, now they are preying on women. So now women are busy going to all these dating coaches and seminars, and they are busy prepping themselves, paying all this money to become the right kind of men, the right kind of women that would attract so-called high-value men. But what is a high-value man in this world? I'm going to do a video about what this world calls a high-value man, which is a narcissistic man. Okay. And then whilst women are busy going to this, seminars and everything, men are going to what we often joke about, call it a men's conference. They are busy consuming this red pill content that talks about all this dark psychology, how to manipulate a woman, how to make a woman chase after you, how to make a woman obsessed with you. You understand? As if it's not enough that they are narcissists themselves, they are still consuming that content. This is the world that we are living in. You understand? So now let's go into this 7 points that I have here, even though, we are already 30 minutes into the video. But I just wanted us to be honest with ourselves about these things, that every other day you are seeing this glaring reality that is right there in your face about the nature of the society that we are living in. And yet, simultaneously, we are busy gaslighting ourselves into thinking that no, but we can still manifest these beautiful relationships. And if we are not able to manifest them, that means we are not doing something right and all of that. No, we are co-creating with an external environment that does not want to give us the thing that we want, that it promises us that is going to give us. It dangles the idea of a romantic fairy tale in front of you, but it gives you the opposite of that, because the narcissistic society, and that's what narcissists do. So the system itself does that. You understand? That's what I wanted us to be aware of. So if your idea of peace, joy, happiness, and fulfillment and everything has to do with some kind of a romantic relationship, then you are in trouble. Because then you're going to be fighting against reality. Reality says otherwise. Reality says otherwise. So if your idea of a happy relationship, or if your idea of happiness is attached to a relationship, then you will have to compromise on your standards. You'll have to accept that. That means you want to be okay with possibly being cheated on. Okay, not possibly, highly likely being cheated on, and possibly being abused, emotionally at best, and physically and sexually at worst, isn't it? That's the reality of the landscape where relationships are concerned in this world. That whole thing of amazing, beautiful, and everything, majority of the time it's only on the surface. Even these relationship coaches themselves that will tell you how happy their relationships are. You don't know. You don't know. Oh, I use these tools and principles to manifest this beautiful relationship that I am in now. You don't know. You don't know what's going on in that relationship. You will never know, because you're always on the outside. You only see what they choose for you to see. You understand? And of course, at best, if I'm going to sell you relationships, then definitely I need to have some kind of an image of some kind of a relationship that I have that is so beautiful and amazing, because I'm selling something to you. But you need to ask yourself a question. If there are really good men out here in the world for women to really have beautiful relationships with, then how come so many women are busy consuming this dating advice content, how to get the right man, how to land the man of your dreams? How come so many women are busy going after these dating coaches and relationship coaches and everything? How come there are so many women out here in the world that are just so desperate for relationships that they are willing to settle to be, side chick number 5 for one guy? If there are so many good men out here in the world, do you understand that most women would rather just be in a nice, good, healthy, basic relationship than anything else? But a lot of women are literally settling for things that are not even standards. Why is that the case? Is it because all the women out here in the world, they are crazy? Is it because all the women in the world are that broken? I don't believe so. I really don't. And even with this dating coaches, relationship coaches and everything, honestly, I think if they were to be honest themselves, of the people that purchase their products that they sell, chances are a very small percentage of those people are actually able to manifest those successful, healthy relationships. And yes, those dating coaches can still come back and say, no, but those that are not succeeding, they are not, following through with the program and all of those things. But if you look at the situation accurately and realistically, you will see that the reason why, this success is not being achieved is because it's something that is beyond your control. It's beyond your control. Love has been reduced to be something else in this world other than what it really is. Love has been reduced to become something else. Love is no longer recognizable. I'm going to say something to you now, and it might sound far-fetched, but in all honesty, love is not something that you even prepare yourself for. In an upside-down world, yes, you might need to do that. But in true reality, love is something that happens naturally. There is someone out there in the world, in a real world, not this upside-down one, because I would never encourage anyone to follow this thing in this kind of upside-down world. But in true reality, this is how love is. This is what love is. There's someone out there that literally you just come across them, and this is how many people in their relationships, they've been able to find their relationships, their, life partners. Unfortunately, just so happens that many of them are too narcissists. But some of them, even though however few they are, it's normal, real human beings. But how real love operates is that you usually just meet someone who's just someone that you just meet, you come across by divine appointment. You understand? And it's not divine because some woo-woo thing is happening there and everything, but it's because naturally, love happens naturally. You come across someone and naturally you connect the right way, like everything fits perfectly. And this person is not deceiving you. This person is not presenting themselves as something other than what they are not. You understand? This person literally just fits into your life and you fit into their life naturally. And it's not necessarily like 100% squeaky clean and perfect and everything. But even the problems and the challenges within that connection, they are manageable. You understand? But the two of you have this endearing care and love for each other that you are able to hold each other's best interest at all times, naturally. You understand? Naturally, you are flowing together. Naturally, as you know, in the woo-woo communities would say, the stars align. And one of the reasons why a lot of people find themselves, we've all been deceived and conned into these narcissistic relationships is because deep down in our hearts, we know that this thing exists. We know that this is how it's supposed to be. And the system has hijacked that as well and has used narcissists to literally beat the hell out of us when it comes to, because when you come across a narcissist, many times it feels like you've met this person that I'm describing. And then very quickly you realize that you have not. It was a deception. Literally, this is a conspiracy against love. Because the system knows that there is such a thing. There is such a thing. We all have some kind of a soulmate, someone that is meant to be your companion, your opposite gender counterpart. We all have that. We call it in the soulmate community, divine twin flame community, divine masculine and feminine community. We call it your divine counterpart. We all have a divine counterpart. But the system has broken things to an extent whereby it's like nowadays, I mean, when you enter into the arena of love and romance, you are entering into it as if you are a soldier going into war. And when I'm saying nowadays, if I said nowadays, let's face it, it's been the case for a very long time, at least for the past 200 years or so. And it's just been gradually getting worse. All right. So let's talk about how narcissists do long-term relationships, because unfortunately in an upside-down world, then relationships that are thriving are narcissistic relationships, relationships between two narcissists. Just like how it is in this upside-down world, people who are thriving are narcissists. You understand? People who are thriving in this world, in most instances, are narcissists. People who seem to have a whole lot of things together in their lives in this upside-down world are narcissists. Okay. That's why I say to you, and I don't know if I used this example in this particular video or the previous one, the first part, but I spoke about that image of the highway that leads to hell. That's why in most instances, you don't just decide that just because someone has a huge following or things seem to be so amazing about that part, and then you automatically just assume that that means that person is on the right path. That's a distorted way of approaching things. Even I was surprised to see Sam Vaknin actually talk about such kind of a thing. Sam Vaknin really goes very deep. And, sometimes the level of depth that he's able to go into, it's like you wonder, is this person really a narcissist? Because he talks about nothingness. And it's like, what are you quoting these things? Or like, do you really understand them? Many times it definitely comes across as if he does understand what he's talking about. So sometimes he confuses me. It's like, what, have you overcome your narcissism? What's going on here? He does, surprise me many times. Because he talks about this thing of, what is he talking about? Now I've already forgotten because I just went into that tangent. Oh, yeah, I got it. So he was talking about the Protestant type of Christian communities. Okay. And it's like, you're going to find this very interesting as well, I think. He was talking about the fact that in most of this, or at some point in time and so forth, but I think, I know it's still the case in many, I call them born-again Christian type of communities. Okay. Many of them, not all of them, but many of them believe that when things are going well for you, especially materialistically, because a lot of born-again Christians that I have come across are very, very materialistic. This is one of the reasons why I found myself just being repelled by a lot of born-again Christians. Okay. And I just, I ended up not even, it's not the only reason, but it's one of the reasons, that one of the things where I felt like, no, there's no God here. You understand where the born-again Christians are. Okay. I'm grateful for certain elements of what they have shared with me, but some things it's like, no, I don't want to associate myself with it. I do not like materialistic people. Okay. Like I don't want anything to do with materialism. All right. We can appreciate things of this world. We can like them. We can, try and get them, and all of those things. And we can get them if we can afford them. But there's this thing about a lot of born-again Christians, not all of them, but a lot of them, but many of them, you'll see them, on TV, on YouTube and all of the, they sell materialism. They sell God of matter. It's almost as if they are selling, the God of money to you, Baal, and they use scriptures to sell that demonic thing. A lot of narcissists are very, very materialistic. it's all about the superficial stuff, it's about accolades, and it's like the more accolades you're able to accumulate for yourself, whether it's academic accolades or it's financial accolades. And so what Sam Van Knen was talking about was business, to say if you are blessed financially or business wise, that means that God is blessing you. There's that kind of narrative that often runs very rampant among born again people, you understand, which is very, very demonic in my opinion. Okay. It's like if things are going well in your life, if your life is going smoothly, that means you are blessed by God. And then if things are going bad in your life, that means you could have upset God, or you are doing something wrong or something along those lines. You understand? There's something like that. And sometimes even these born again Christians might not necessarily like people who might not necessarily be, I don't know, living according to a particular standard. You understand? Because it's like they worship matter. A lot of this, there are some Christian sects that I have seen, they literally worship brands in some shape or form. They would even talk about it. It's like they would even be praying very, very hard for such kind of things, to have certain type of cars. And many of them, you'd even hear them talk about, brother so-and-so, the Lord blessed brother so-and-so with this kind of a car. And the brother so-and-so or sister is really, really blessed. He's so blessed, he's so educated, he's got master's degree, he's a doctor, he is blessed by God because he's a doctor. That kind of a thing. It's like, that's very repulsive to someone like me. Okay. That's really, really, it's like, please don't ever come at me with that kind of nonsense. It's like, when you start approaching things from the perspective where it's, you are assessing or analyzing or valuing the work of God in your life based on material things, then how different are you from other people that you call demonic, and just because they're not practicing your type of spirituality? Like, for example, how different are you from, traditional spiritual practitioners? Dingaka, we call them dingaka here, witch doctors here, traditional healers, sangomas here. Because many a times, as I said to you, born again Christians have this attitude whereby they will, even if they might not say, but you can see that not all of them, but many of them have this attitude whereby if things are going well for you, that means God is happy for you, especially financially. Okay. If things are going well for you, that means God is blessing you. God is happy with you. If things are going bad for you, talk about Job's friends. If things are going bad for you, that means God is angry with you. You might have done something wrong. You've done something wrong somewhere. You understand? That's the attitude. In the same way, a lot of people that I deal with from a spiritual perspective will tell you as well that their traditional spiritual practitioner tells them if something is going well for them, the ancestors have blessed them. You understand? And they need to express gratitude towards the ancestors. But if something bad is happening to these people, then they will tell you the ancestors are angry at you. So these Christians, how different are they from these Sangoma people and spiritual practitioner people? Because they seem to be preaching the same gospel in that regard. You understand? So it's like, is this hypocrisy? What's going on there? And I don't endorse any of this. I don't endorse any of these perspectives, both of them. I just don't endorse it because it's like, no, that's not how I know God. That's not how I know any higher vibrational frequency being. You understand? And I'm not saying that we are perfect and we are infallible and we are without fault or anything. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm sure you get my point. Okay, so I was surprised to find out that Sam Wagner would catch such kind of, because these things sometimes for me, how I see them is that they're very subtle. It's like, because I think I might have even been thinking about it maybe a few days before I saw his video, and I was like, what? I can't believe it. He saw it as well. Like, he literally saw that. And he even was able to pick up, because you could easily think that maybe it's a certain sect of people who see things. No, he was able to pinpoint that it's Protestant, like it's this Christian Protestants that have this type of a mindset, and this type of a belief. I thought, this is interesting. Okay, so let's look at the 7 points. Oh my gosh, I literally have about 40 minutes to be able to share this, to break down the 7 points. But I hope I've made my point clear enough here. Okay, I really do. So let's look at the first point here, how narcissists do long-term relationship, because this is, I think, the point that I was trying to bring across. I don't know how I ended up going on that other tangent, but point is that in this upside down world, most relationships that you are going to come across are narcissistic relationships. So before you decide that, this is an amazing relationship, check first that this is not a relationship between two narcissists. Okay, people who've been together for a very long time, check first that this is not a narcissistic relationship. This is not a relationship between two narcissists. Okay, before you decide to make those people your relationship goals, check first. All right. You are welcome to even look back at your own childhood. The people that you look around you that you felt they had a beautiful, amazing relationship. Check, confirm that were those people really having a good relationship, or is it how I saw it because of maybe a certain image that they were trying to create before me? You understand? Because many a times, like for me personally, when I look back at the childhood relationships that I thought, and believe it or not, those people are still together to this day. You understand? We're talking about relationships that are spanning more than 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. You understand? So very, very, very long-term relationship. When I look back at those relationships and see majority of them were between two narcissists. Okay. And so those relationships, it's like when I look back now, I remember one of the couples was having a relationship with another lady in the community. The husband was basically having a long-term relationship with another lady in the community. So it's like he is married, they are married, and everything looks good on the surface. They've got their own family, they're building their life, everything looks good. But the man is cheating with the lady down the road, and everybody knows it. You understand? And then there's another one where the man is cheating with the younger lady that, keeps coming. It's like maybe a 20-year-old lady, 22-year-old lady, somewhere there, still young, not old, that keeps coming and visiting over the holidays. So that the young lady comes and visits the neighbors, and then the husband of this couple keeps having a relationship, basically has a relationship with this younger girl that keeps coming to visit. You understand? So, and of course, that's not the only thing that would be happening there. There's a whole lot of other things that I could talk about that for me, when I look at them, it's like, oh, these are two narcissists that are actually in a relationship. You understand? But those things, there are times when you're not able to see them for what they really are, because on the surface it's like, oh, this is a beautiful couple, they've been together for so long and they're building a beautiful life, because you look at them, they've managed to build beautiful houses for themselves, they've raised beautiful children, everything is beautiful on the surface. But once again, you go deep enough and you can literally taste the bitterness. You understand? So let's look at the first point here, how narcissists do long-term relationships. Number one, easy, very easy for narcissists to do long-term relationships, much easier than for you, a real human being, because for you as a real human being, you are infusing your essence into everything that you are doing. That's why if it fails, it really does break you. You understand? And be honest with yourself about that, which is why perhaps you want to accept the fact that this might not necessarily be the space that you really want to play in. Let them call you thin-skinned or oversensitive or whatever. It's fine. But be realistic with yourself rather than trying to immerse yourself in things that you have no business immersing yourself in. You understand? So toxicity doesn't work for you, okay? But for narcissists, it works. So it's easy. It's easy for narcissists to do long-term relationship. It's easy for them to find each other because, once again, there are too many of them here, okay? There are too many of them. Living Babylon, once again, the Christian content creator, I think her name is Madeline, something like that. And it's like, she says, she talks about Gog and Magog, because their perspective and perception is that the millennial reign of Jesus Christ has already come and gone. I love it when we discover such kind of thing. And then she discovers the land of Jesus Christ. I mean, this is amazing stuff, okay? It's groundbreaking things. It's like discovering old world, discovering millennial reign of Jesus Christ, because we discovered through Antonio Flamenco, what is his name? It's very, and then that they are missing a few hundred years in our timeline, and then we discover, the land of Jesus Christ. I mean, this is amazing. So she talks about Gog and Magog, all right? And so these are, of course, the enemies of Christ that, gather themselves. It's a nation, okay, that gathers itself against the land of the saints. And it's forming itself into an army nation that attacks the saints, okay? And sometimes when I consider this concept of Gog and Magog, and I look around, and especially when she starts talking about the fact that, the Gogs and Magogs are the Georges, because Gog is actually George, you understand? And then you look at, the George Washingtons and such kind of people, all these Georges, that King George and, St. George and all these Georges and all of that. And it's highly likely that they are actually these Nephilim nations, you understand, these demonic Nephilim nations. And then when you listen to Royal We, and then by these demonic nations or Nephilim nations, we're talking about a species, a different breed of people, right? That is, of course, a satanic bloodline. You understand, a demonic bloodline. So and then the Royal We, which is another content creator, Christian content creator, speaks about narcissism, and then breaks down, how he believes that narcissists are actually the Nephilim bloodline, and so on. And then he breaks down how that the bloodline could have easily infiltrated the rest of humanity. And then you go to Lucius Aurelian. All right. Another content creator here who talks about, the old world, the timeline. Basically, he's sort of like dissecting our reality in some shape or form, and very, very good content creator there as well. Then, so he tells you about the infiltration that has been taking place over maybe a few hundred, if not thousands of years, where our timelines, but it's theories that he has, and all of these people, of course, are presenting their own theories, you understand? So this infiltration, how that the last reset that humanity went through, so that, for example, the reset before now, which is what people called previously Tartaria. So it's like the world that was Tartaria, how it ended up collapsing could have happened because of an infiltration. You understand? So basically, some enemy came, but instead of presenting itself as an enemy from outside and started attacking from outside, what the enemy did is that it became part and parcel of the people, and then it started destroying everything from within. And so when you look at how the royal we puts it, that it's highly likely that the bloodline of the Nephilim spread itself among the people, where all the Nephilim descendants started basically just proliferating their seed all over the world. And then it would make sense that now, we've got all this narcissists from every race, every nation, every generation. It's like everywhere you go, there are narcissists. Like, you can't run away from narcissism. It's everywhere. That's why it's like, when people start saying, no, narcissists are only 1% of the population, it's like, no, that's not reality. Look around you and tell me, how is it that the world can be this upside down and only 1% of the population is narcissist, or 3% or 6% or 5%? No, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way that 95% or 94% of genuine, real human beings will be okay with this level of madness. There's no way. The only way that the world can be as upside down as it is right now is if majority of people, especially because if you look at it from also narcissistic spiritual principles and all of those things, majority is the rule, isn't it? So the only way that things can be the way they are is because there are more narcissists than there are good people. Okay. So, and then going back to leaving Babylon, so you've got an army, a horde of these cannibalistic type of beings that, are surrounding the saints. And then you look around and you look at this environment, it's like, I wonder if we have not been taken over in that way, like our generation, our society, and our world has not been taken over in that way, that whole Gog and Magog situation. I wonder if it's not narcissism. You understand? There's George my George. I wonder if it's not narcissists and narcissists, because narcissists are like an army from the lower astral plane, the very army that, if you look at how Lucius Aurelian even describes this dark force that is an infiltrator and ends up destroying everything, and then everything just ends up getting into a state of ruin and darkness and gloominess and all of that. That's how the lower astral plane operates. That's how narcissists operate. You understand? We are surrounded. Like, we are literally surrounded, and we are scattered as real human beings. We are few and far in between. We are outnumbered. When you look at it from a surface level perspective. Of course, from a spiritual perspective, the odds will always be on our side, especially from a higher realm spiritual perspective. You understand? But when you look at this situation, like, we are surrounded. All God's children are surrounded right now, scattered few and far in between. Because let's face it, even within the Christian community, there are very few real human beings there. Very, very few. Very, very few children of God there. Children of God have been scattered few and far in between. And if you have listened to me long enough, I've said this to you before, and I will keep saying it to you, that the only identifier and the only marker of a child of God is empathy. Okay, is empathy. It's not that whole thing of, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, declare that Jesus Christ is Lord and everything. But my point here is that, for me, when I look at it, it's not about which religion you are part of. Because for me, it's like, as long as you have empathy within you, that's Jesus Christ in you. You understand? As long as you have empathy within you, that is Jesus Christ. He lives inside. That is his essence. That is his very being. That is his name. Because in most instances, when the Bible says name, it's actually talking about essence. Name is essence. Is the essence of something. So when you have empathy within you, you actually have the essence of Christ. Empathy is the mark and essence of Christ in you. That's why you can have many people who are not Christians, but they are way better Christians than real Christians, or so-called people with labels of Christians. Because it's not how it rolls anymore. How that, you have to be of a particular religion so to be loved by God and to belong to God and all of that. No, that's not how I see it. God's children are all over the world, few and far in between, scattered, outnumbered by the army of Satan, the narcissists, the Georges and Ama Georges. Okay. The army of hordes, or the hordes of the Nephilim. You understand? This satanic bloodline. All right. So that's how I see it. So there's too many of them, and because there is too many of them, it's easy for them to find each other. Whereas for you as a real human being, it's very difficult to come across other real human beings, let alone those of the opposite gender, that you will be able to create healthy relationships with. Do you see? The odds are in favor of narcissists because everywhere you look, there's a narcissist. There's a narcissist here, there's a narcissist there, there's a narcissist. Everywhere you go, there is a narcissist. So they find each other and then they get together. You understand? And, yeah, you as a real human being, as I previously mentioned, you might have to deal with at least 1,000 narcissists before you come across one real human being. Maybe not 1,000, maybe let's say 50 narcissists or something like that. But you know what I'm talking about, isn't it? You know. So let's look at number 2. So number 1 had to do with the fact that it's easy. How do narcissists create long-term relationships? It's easy. It's easy because it's easy for them to find each other. And when a narcissist finds another narcissist, it's like finding your own soulmate. You understand? It's like because you are finding someone that speaks the same language as you. You are clicking like nobody's business. You're operating at the same level. Your vibrational frequency matches. You understand? So, sorry, empaths. I know you thought narcissists were your soulmate, and some of them are. Some of them are. And they've just been broken by the system that they snapped and became narcissists. Okay. But according to the system of this world, as long as someone is a narcissist, when they come across another narcissist, in most instances, they click. Of course, as I previously might have mentioned as well, not every narcissist will get along with other narcissists. Not all narcissists get along with each other in that way. You understand? And not all narcissists in a relationship will create a long-term relationship. But my point here is that the likelihood of them creating that long-term relationship is much higher than any other group of people in this realm when it comes to that. You understand? Okay, let's look at number 2. The social environment, the system of this world, the numbers, everything about the system supports 2 narcissists in a relationship more so than 2 real human beings or any other group of people. You understand? Like, for example, a narcissist and a real human being. The odds are against that type of a relationship, That type of relationship is basically it's a lush farm type of relationship. It's a lushing relationship. It's not really a real relationship. And as I always say to you, if you are a real human being and you are in a relationship with a narcissist, you must know that there is another narcissist that narcissist has a relationship with to feed their ego. You understand? But a narcissist, even if you are the main chick, quote unquote, you are married to that narcissist, you must know that there is another narcissist that narcissist of yours considers to be their person and not you. Because the narcissist knows, as much as you would want to deny it, and we've all, been a little bit blind to this one. The narcissist sees you. Narcissist knows who you are, and the narcissist knows who he is. So he knows that you are not his kindred spirit. He knows, and he knows what exactly it is that he's looking for from you, which is your resources to mine you, but energetically, financially, and everything else. But he knows that there's someone else that he belongs with or that he would rather be with, and usually that person is a narcissist. So even if he's married to you, he probably has someone else on the side who is a narcissist. All right. Narcissists like artificial things. You understand? They need that. That's their staple. Okay. From time to time, they might need to detox, and that's when they will come to you to detox. Okay. They will need the stuff that you have to give, which is your narcissistic supply and everything, but they would rather not have to deal with you that much if you are a real human being, you understand, or an empath or whatever. That's why they treat you with such contempt over and above other reasons, the fact that they are narcissists, so they are just naturally evil. Okay, but they prefer to be among other narcissists and not you. Okay, narcissists prefer to be among other narcissists more so than not. Many a times you'd hear a real person who's married to a narcissist, let's say it's a woman married to a narcissistic man. Oh, he's always hanging out with his friends. He spends the whole weekend with his friends. Every time he's with his friends, I don't understand. It's because his friends don't hold him accountable about all the bad things that he does. They let him do every bad thing. No, the reason why he likes to hang out with his friends is because they are all narcissists together. You understand? So they feed each other's ego and all of that. And chances are there are also some narcissistic women in the mix there as well. It's not because this person is blind, is stupid. Oh, no, his friends are a bad influence on him. No, they're not a bad influence. They are a bad influence on each other. They are all narcissists together. You understand? And he's avoiding you deliberately because you are too much spinach. You are too much lettuce for him. You are too much, vegetables for him. And he wants the sweets, okay? He wants the sugar. He wants the cakes, okay? He wants all these things that are just junky. He wants the junk food. He wants the alcohol and everything else, okay? So the environment is conducive to narcissists, okay, in being in a relationship. So now if you are a narcissistic woman and you are in a relationship with a narcissistic man, then the dynamic is completely different because you guys are playing games together. Usually his narcissistic friends might even like you because you all speak the same language. You understand? The system, the environment, the community, everything might support your type of relationship because it all fits in perfectly. You understand? The numbers, you might have a lot of people vouching for your relationship in your lives because, or even if they are not vouching, but somehow the nature of the environment will be conducive to that relationship, which is between two narcissists, because the nature of the environment is almost always toxic. So toxic that if you are two toxic people, you are able to get away with your toxicity in that environment. You understand? And also you yourself as a toxic person, it's like you are thriving in that type of an environment. Okay, whereas if it's real human beings, the nature of the environment might not be that great for you. Okay, perversion, distortion, deception, manipulation, inauthenticity, superficiality, materialism, conformity, competition, etc. None of these things are conducive for a relationship between two real human beings, but it's absolutely conducive for one between two narcissists, isn't it? You understand? And all of these things that I've just mentioned as well, these are the staple in this narcissistic society that we live in. This is how the society is perverse. Perversion is normal. It's normal. You want to test that? Test that. It's very easy. Just switch on the TV and see how long it's going to take before you see some naked person or some half-naked person. Just go outside and see how long is it going to take before you see someone who's wearing something that is very, very revealing. You understand? And, like sometimes I look at myself and I'm guilty of that as well, because it's like in this world that we are living in, it's very difficult to, even if you're not intending to, even if you're not trying to, you find yourself in a, like, have you noticed that majority of the clothes that are available, majority of things that are out here, somehow they are just sabotaging you. They're sabotaging everything. You understand? So we are all guilty of those kind of things. Like, the nature of this world is perverse. Okay. And so this is the environment for narcissism. Okay. Distortion, perception, those type of relationships. A narcissist will be okay with that. Normal human beings are not going to be okay with those type of relationships. All right, let's look at number 3. Two narcissists in a long-term relationship will often normalize and proliferate narcissism in the world. Okay, so for example, some narcissists, they know how to play the part of a perfect couple, isn't it? They will play it so well that people will look at them and believe that, oh wow, this is a beautiful couple, this is an ideal couple, this is an ideal man. I'm thinking about a celebrity couple now, actually 2 celebrity couples now, that they've been in a relationship forever, and for a long time we all looked at them and we're like, wow, this is a couple goal. This we want to be like this. I wish I had a man like this, and I wish I was this woman. I want to be like this woman, and all of that. And then one day you wake up and you realize, oh my word, that relationship had a lot of entanglements in it, and that other relationship, apparently the man might be homosexual or something like that, and then the woman might be homosexual herself or something like that. Those kind of things. And it's like, so for a long time they sold us an image of a perfect, happy relationship, and it's like, but that's not really what it is. So meaning, these people don't have a healthy relationship. So these people are not healthy. So is there even real relationships? Like, how many times have you come across a real, authentic, genuine, healthy relationship, and it's not just healthy from the outside, but it's really healthy from the inside? It's like, how many of them have you come across? But they play the part, and then, but what you're not aware of is that such kind of couples are so dangerous because they are selling certain ideologies subtly, and you're not aware. Like, for example, the entanglement type of a couple. You will look at such kind of people and you'll think, oh, okay, so the best way to actually get a man to, really be obsessed with me is if I make him jealous and I triangulate him with another man. You understand? But we're not realizing that actually this woman is a narcissistic woman, and those kind of things don't apply for you as a real human being. You don't triangulate people. You don't triangulate your man with anyone, and you don't do anything to try and make someone obsessed with you, make them jealous about other people, and entangle yourself with a whole lot of people like that. You understand? You don't. So it's like, then you begin, because you want to know how is it that this amazing woman was able to get this amazing man and have such a long relationship with him. And then it's like, oh, okay, so you see, you look at dating coaches that will tell you, okay, so she made him jealous. That's toxic. You understand? She triangulated him with another man. That's toxic. That's jealous. That's dark psychology. And it will not work for you as a child of God. Okay, it will definitely backfire like nobody's business, because you'll triangulate him. He will still be a narcissist. Okay, because it will not change the fact that 90% of the people that you are dealing with out here in this world when it comes to the male gender are narcissists. It will not change that, or at least very, very broken. It will not make him any better human being than he already is. And it will also not force him to want to become a better person. Okay. So you will play those games, you yourself will be the one that is suffering. But that's the idea that is being sold to you. So now when you're looking at these people, you begin to think that, like when you look at certain relationships that are being sold out here into the world as ideal relationships because they are long lasting, you will begin to think that those people are model human beings that you would want to emulate on your own personal level. You would want to take on their principles, their standards, the way they operate, their conduct as your own. You understand? And you will pay a high price for that. You'll hear people talking about how that men love, BITCHs, isn't it? Men love mean women, isn't it? That's what people say. But they're not going to tell you that actually this BITCH type of women are narcissistic women. And usually the men that love them are either broken or narcissists themselves. They're not going to tell you that. So you have no business playing in that particular space. That's not your playground. You have no business, taking notes from a narcissist. That's why you don't just assume that just because they've had this long-term relationship, they are this beautiful couple, that means I want to be like them. That means everything is all good and dandy. We've learned the hard way. Idolizing people, not realizing that we are taking on their demons into our own lives. Okay. I'll tell you that, men love, for example, that entanglement couple, the men that she was triangulating her husband with was sort of like a bad boy type of a person, like a bad, this rough type of hood type of a man, isn't it? And I'm not saying men should be feminine or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. But there's a certain type of a man that everyone thinks a woman wants. This overconfident man and all of that. And the men, usually that man is a narcissist. And usually women that gravitate towards him are either broken or they are narcissists themselves. You understand? So basically, we've been buying into the madness and the upside downness of this world. That's what we've been doing. All right. So this is what narcissistic couples, two narcissists in a relationship, this is what they do. And this is how they proliferate the narcissism. You are buying into the narcissism, you're not even aware. Okay. And then they also give birth to narcissists, isn't it? This is how they proliferate the narcissism. Okay. They're busy posting there on their social media, and they've got 1 million likes, they've got 1 million followers. They're selling their relationship. You are not seeing that they're selling you illusion, because behind the scenes, they are entangling each other like nobody's business. Okay. And they are, doing all this, and there's nothing wrong with homosexuality or anything like that per se. I don't hold anything against anyone, and I have no judgment. But I'm just saying, you don't present yourself as a straight couple when you know that you're actually homosexual. You understand? So, you'll be liking people's videos, people's pictures, and just sending them all this positive energy of yours because like, wow, that's amazing, and they've got 1 billion likes, billion followers. And meanwhile, they're busy homosexuality each other. They're behind the scenes whilst pretending to be straight out here in public. Okay. So it's proliferating all sorts of demonic things, and it's horrible. And then, as I was saying, of course, they give birth to narcissistic children and they raise them in a narcissistic way, and they are basically, multiplying the narcissism. It's a disaster. Okay. But this is how they do long-term relationships. This is how narcissists do long-term relationships, by selling the image of narcissism. They sell the image and they proliferate it. All right, let's look at number 4. So 2 narcissists in a relationship, they abuse each other in ways that are unimaginable to a real human being. This is how they do long-term relationship. And then for you as a real human being, you look at them and you think, oh my God, how is it possible that anyone can do that? How is it possible that anyone can withstand such kind of abuse and would do this kind of horror for such a long period of time? You as a real human being, it's disturbing to you, and of course, once again, it will be very crushing. Not so for narcissists. It's the mud that they like, playing in as the pigs that they are spiritually. You understand? They enjoy it. So they need to abuse each other. They do need to abuse each other because that's what they need. They need the drama, they need the chaos, they need the madness, they need everything. No one can endure or tolerate abuse from a narcissist like another narcissist. You understand? Many people will be telling me, oh, I cannot believe that this woman went back to that man after he did this and this and this and this and this and that to her. I can't believe she's still with him. And it's like, no, you don't understand. That's the kind of stuff that she likes. She likes it. She likes the drama. Once again, I'm talking about narcissists. I'm not talking about real human beings that are trauma bonded. I'm talking about narcissists. Because you're not going to know that you're dealing with a narcissist unless you use your discerning eye to see the type of woman that you are talking about. You understand? But I'm referring to that narcissist that would be in that relationship that is very, very horrible, very abusive. They need it. They need it. You'll hear them talk about it. They talk about the abuse that they're enduring with so much pride. It's like, I don't understand. No, they feel good about it because it's like food for them. You like, as a real human being, you like high vibrational frequency things, isn't it? You enjoy being in certain spaces that feed your spirit in a certain way. That toxic environment is the kind of environment that feeds a narcissist the right way for them. You understand? That low frequency environment, that chaotic environment, that's where the narcissist feels high. They get that high vibrational frequency, which is a very low vibrational frequency, but you know what I'm talking about. They get that good stuff when they are in the midst of toxicity, okay? So this is what happens there. Number 5, two narcissists in a relationship, they traumatize everyone in their environment whilst they themselves thrive in their toxicity. So you'll be listening to them, as I said, talking about how that he gave me a blue eye, he bashed my eye like nobody's business, he bashed my face like nobody's business. And then they'll be talking about that very, very proud. Okay. Then looking at you, just, drawing all this narcissistic supply from your squeamishness. Every time you scram at all these horrible things that they are describing, they enjoy even going into greater detail about all these horrible things that these men are doing to them, isn't it? All these women, whoever it is that's doing the things to them, but it's like they're just telling you all the details. So you, as the children, the friends, the relatives, you are suffering every time you are having to witness all the madness that these people put each other through. But they are happy, they are thriving, they are enjoying themselves in that madness. You understand? They love it. As the children are busy crying, you are just traumatized, you are broken over everything that you have to see every day. They are just enjoying themselves. You are enduring secondary abuse. If you are in the lives of two narcissists in a relationship with each other, you are enduring secondary abuse, because every single horrible thing that they do to each other, almost always they make sure that they've got you as a witness. Someone in their life is witnessing that, and usually that person is being traumatized by whatever it is that they are witnessing. Like, for example, some narcissists will make you, as their child, witness them cheating on your father or your mother, and they will literally put you in that position where you have to, endure that guilt and shame and horror and trauma of the fact that what the age, what on earth is it that I'm dealing with here? How can she or he do this to her? And then what about me? Do I tell the other person or not? And can you imagine what happens to you as a child? The spiritual whistleblower is another content creator here who speaks a lot about narcissism, and she talks about her parents. How that she had to witness her parents fighting every single day. And then sometimes, literally, and this is what they do, they get a high from even, just pitting each other against you, or just doing some horrible things. Like, for example, she mentions how that she spoke to her father and asked her father, why is it that he and her mother fight every day, or fight so often, so much? And then, and in front of them, of course, they're fighting in front of them as children all the time. And then, you know what the father does? The father tells the mother, it says, or it says in front of the mother, did you tell your mother what you said, or something like that? And then makes it sound as if like she did something horrible, when all she was asking is, why are you guys fighting? And then however it is that he phrased that whole thing, and it's like he literally set the mother off on her. He unleashed the mother on her. He made sure that the mother beat this child up, okay, for asking that question. You understand? So it's like they will do that. They will do that to the children. It's like, to even feed their narcissism together, they will use you as the person that is in their life. You are in trouble. That's why I say, whenever it is that you come across two people in a very, very toxic relationship, usually it's best for you to stay as far away as you can. Because half the time you end up dealing with a whole lot of collateral damage. Like, it's like you yourself are in that relationship and it's not yours. You might even end up suffering more than the people that are in that relationship. And more often than not, if you are dealing with two narcissists, you end up suffering more than they are, because once again, they are okay with it. And many times, children that grow up in this kind of environment, later on, they confront their parents about it and they say, but how can you put us through this? And the parents would be like, I don't get it. What are you talking about? What's your problem? And many times, this kind of parents, once the children grow up, they all of a sudden seem to be fine. They'll be fighting your whole entire childhood, feeling unsafe, your whole entire childhood. And then suddenly you are an adult, you are 30, 40 years old, you have children. They seem to be these quiet little grandparents who are taking care of their grandchildren. And it's like, but these people abused us as children. Why are they now suddenly coming across as if they are this nice people? And then you begin to confront them. You say, but why were you like that when we were growing up? And they're like, what are you talking about? And sometimes they can even, get angry at you and begin to attack you for confronting them about their behavior, because they don't see anything wrong with it. They don't. They think they did nothing wrong. They think they raised you in the best environment ever. You understand? So, and that's why sometimes even when you try and intervene in such kind of instances as a friend, to say, oh, my friend, look at this person almost killed you. Let me remove you from the situation. Come and stay with me. And everything. Next thing you know, this friend of yours starts treating you like you are trying to come between her and her man. Have you ever been in that situation where you tried to help and then suddenly you come across as if you are the one that is jealous of their relationship? Maybe you want her man for yourself and things like that, or you are trying to break their relationship because you have none. Or some strange thing like that. You understand? They end up triangulating you with the person that, they claim to be abusing them. All right. So this is what happens. It's like when it comes to narcissists, really, it's the people in their lives that suffer the most. Okay, this is how they do long-term relationship. Okay, all of these things, in most instances, there's a whole lot of narcissistic supply that is going to narcissists as well. All right, let's look at number 6. So two narcissists in a relationship feed each other's egos. Okay, so these are those situations there where you've got a man who's probably busy abusing children. This man is busy sleeping with his daughter, isn't it? And ever since the child was probably 6 years old, 5 years old, Batel Skater comes to mind when I mentioned this one. I was looking for her channel just today before I did this. Actually, not before I did this video, but earlier on today, I looked for her channel and it's not there anymore. It's gone. Now, when you search for Batel Skater, it's other people, quoting her or using some of her material, but she's no longer there anymore on YouTube. And she tells a story of how her abusive. I really believe both her parents were narcissists. I don't remember how did she describe them, but the spiritual whistleblower says it that both her parents were narcissists. But then I don't remember about Battle Skater, but the way I look at it, I think both of them were narcissists, because what happened with her is that I don't know for how long and since what age her father apparently was basically raping them as children. Okay, and her mother did nothing about it, and I think they might have told her mother, and the mother didn't do anything about it. Like literally, it's like she okayed it. All right. And so in most instances, when you are dealing with two narcissists in a relationship, especially if the father is, the horrible one, the sociopathic type of narcissist, you are in trouble. Because if the mother is maybe the covert narcissist that is too invested in her image, then the father will literally be busy abusing you in ways that are literally, just unfathomable. And the mother will be hiding all of that. Okay. They will be okay with it, and you will be getting a hiding. You literally get a whooping, a beating the minute you start talking about the abuse that you are enduring. All right. They will be so abusive to you, like they will literally be breaking you down. Okay. And not only will this man be doing these horrible things to you, chances are he'll probably be doing the same thing to other children in the community. Okay. And guess who will be hiding what this man is doing? The narcissistic wife. Okay, the narcissistic woman is the yes man to her narcissistic man. All right, he hides. It's like she literally hides all the horrible things that he does. If this man ends up going to prison, guess who's going to be sitting, there in front row at court, just praying that let this case be dismissed. I'm laughing because I've got this prayer here on the channel that says prayer for court case to be dismissed. And I have to be honest with you, I do pray to God that, anyone who does not deserve for their case to be dismissed, God, who does not deserve that, and please don't make them to be dismissed. But and of course, I'm not saying that if your case is not dismissed, that automatically means that you don't deserve it. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, because I'm saying that I do make those prayers to God, because why? I don't want people who don't deserve certain things to get them. You understand? I don't want such kind of people who are busy, abusing other human beings to get away with what they're doing. You understand? And so the person who will literally be by their partner's side through thick and thin would be the narcissistic woman. You understand? The narcissist will literally be destroying people's lives, but the person that will never leave their side will be their narcissistic partner. You understand? So this is how narcissistic or two narcissists in a relationship do their thing. Okay. That whole amorality, that whole lack of ethical values, because of them, cheating would be allowed, child abuse will be allowed, irresponsibility, many a times even things that are very criminal. For example, many of these narcissists, they run cults, they run churches, they run all sorts of institutions that are very, dodgy type of institutions, isn't it? They've got these businesses that are very dodgy type of businesses and all of that, but they're doing horrible things in people's lives. And this narcissistic woman would know that this man is doing all these horrible things, and she will be okay with it. Okay. She will literally be, covering evidence on behalf of her husband. She will be helping her husband to destroy people's lives. She will even help her husband destroy her own children's lives. The narcissistic woman. All right. So, this is how bad the situation is. Okay. So, and many a times they stay with each other. As I said, that yes, not every relationship between two narcissists lasts forever, but in most instances they do. They last for a very long time. All right. And yes, sometimes in such kind of relationships, you might think you are dealing with, I think, we're getting into it with point number 7. You might think that you're dealing with one narcissist and a real human being, isn't it? Only to find out that you are dealing with two narcissists. It's just that the other one is hiding themselves behind the other narcissist. Because remember, I shared with you in the other video, I forgot if it has to do with there are way too many narcissists in the world, or if I forgot which one it is, right? But I did mention to you that narcissists operate according to hierarchy. and there's a certain type of structure that they follow, and it's unspoken, and it's almost always as if it's unconscious as well. But there's a certain way they know when is it that they need to step down and to basically operate behind another narcissist rather than put themselves ahead. You understand? I've seen in many, many group settings where narcissists tend together. There's a certain type of a social hierarchy that they adhere to that is unspoken. There's always a pack leader, and the pack leader is almost always the most evil of them all. All right. And then the pack leader will have his or her sidekicks, and then there'll be other people that will be coming underneath them all the way up until the bottom of the barrel. You understand? So there's that thing. And then so there are some narcissists that, particularly in a romantic setting, one narcissist will automatically adjust themselves and cloak themselves to become covert, all right, and then allow the other narcissist to stand out. And then so when you look at the two of them, it will look like there's this one quiet person who's shy and reserved, and you'll think that's the victim in the situation. And there'll be this other person who's just overt and just too out there and too arrogant and abrasive and aggressive and everything. And then you'll think this is the narcissist. Then you will miss the other narcissist because through this other horrible, it's like they play the good cop, bad cop type of a situation. You understand? This is point number 7. Two narcissists in a relationship use each other to hide their narcissism and to extract narcissistic supply. This is how they do it. They play the good cop, bad cop. And it's not only in a romantic setting. Usually when two narcissists are together, one hides themselves and the other one exposes themselves. All right. It's some kind of demonic strategy from hell, because I don't think they sit down and have this kind of conversations, but this is how they often show up. So the spiritual whistleblower tells a story about how that for a long time she actually thought her father was a normal person. Like she didn't realize that her father was a narcissist. Because her father seemed to be a little bit more quiet in comparison to the mother, more passive in comparison to the mother, and then only to later realize when she looks back that, oh, this man was actually, so meaning there was a way that he was adjusting himself so that he can come across as if he was the good cop. So this is what happens with two narcissists in a relationship most of the time. When two narcissists are together, they do that. Okay, because it becomes easier for them to get narcissistic supply that way. You know that situation where you are in a relationship with a man, and this man is married, of course, and he's coming to you and he's like, oh, this woman, I wanted to leave her, but I felt so bad for her because I don't want to hurt her. She's so fragile, and but I don't want to be with her anymore. She's done horrible things to me, but I just feel sorry for her. I don't want to leave her. And then you'll be listening to that crap, right? And then you'll be thinking, oh my word, shame. Oh, he's such a victim of the situation, and he's also such a nice guy at the same time. You are being deceived. How many of you have been in that situation before you woke up? Okay, I think many of us have that kind of a T-shirt where we, at least at best, we've had that type of a story. Okay. And that's where the narcissist tries to play the good cop. Okay, so they are trying to make you feel sorry for them for the abuse that they're enduring, and they also want you to feel like they are amazing, because it's like, oh, look at how he doesn't want to hurt this person, but you might be missing the fact that he's actually trying to hurt you by putting you in the position that he's trying to put you in. And usually people who do this kind of a thing are narcissists. Okay. And then, of course, on the flip side, then maybe this person gets into a relationship with you and you don't know this person is in a relationship or they're married or whatever. And then this person, somehow you find out that this person is actually in a relationship. And then I think Mental Illness, this Lee Hammock, was reviewing a video with such kind of a case where the woman found out for 3 years she was in a relationship with a man. And then she finds out that she was actually a side chick the whole time. And then she confronts the main chick and gives her all the receipts to say, but here's the situation. This is your guy, and he's been my guy this whole time. And then guess how the main chick responds? She says, oh, you know what? If he ever contacts you again, just let me know. And she didn't leave. She didn't break up with him. She probably scolded him like a child. And then that was the end of it. You understand? So, and then you ask yourself, how many times has this man doing this? And how many times is he going to continue doing it? Most of the time, the woman that will let that be is a narcissistic woman. Let's talk about those pastors' wives who will somehow find out that their pastor husband is busy, maybe abusing the young girls in church, or even, pursuing those young girls in church. You know that this pastor's wife, many a times, she will pull these women to the side, these young ladies to the side, and scold them and shame them and even call them Jezebels, rather than address her husband for the toxicity that he is engaging in. But it's not even toxicity. This one is high-level demonism, or I don't know, but it's just pure evil. You understand? What kind of a woman is this that will approach the situation in this particular way? It's the narcissistic woman, majority of the time. This is how narcissists do long-term relationship. The people in their lives are collateral damage there. Okay, and then they will have their 50 years of marriage, 60 years of marriage, and they would have raised children and everything. But if you look close enough, if you use the eye of discernment, you'll be able to see that there are strings of broken hearts, broken lives, broken dreams, broken everything, broken society. A whole lot of horrible things have happened as a result of these two people being in a relationship. But unfortunately, the system coddles them. The system is conducive for them, because the narcissistic woman will be like, I'm just a wife and a mother. They hide behind that image of, I'm a wife and a mother. And then the husband would be all about, and they love this because this is what legitimizes them. You understand? Being, I'm a father, I'm a family man, I'm doing this, it's for my wife and children, it's for my children, it's for my family. You understand? And then you'd be thinking, wow, this is an upstanding city, this is an amazing human being, and all of that. No, it's just an image that is being sold to you. Okay, these people are most likely destroying lives more so than anything else. And in most instances, this is how you know you are dealing with narcissists, because some of them will be claiming to help people, but then many a times those people will come out more broken than anything else. Okay, because they're not really doing any helping, they're really just destroying, they're not capable of help. All right.